Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. What about me?
Yeah, you are audible, ma'am. Hi, Vinita.
Hi,
Hi,
good
Vidya.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Sir will join now.
Yeah. Yes, sir is unable to join.
Please try me. Join here, but
No one is visible to me.
Sangeeta, can you hear me?
Yeah, but I can't see you.
Like,
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Yeah. Ma'am,
wait,
is Vinita visible to you?
Vidya is not visible to me. What
wait, I'll
about?
join again.
Yeah.
She is joining, ma'am.
Vidya was visible actually. What happened?
Maybe some network issue, ma'am.
Am I visible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
So, yeah. Welcome to everyone. This is episode 8, How to Learn to Understand Ayurveda. Before starting to today's episode, I would like to introduce Dr. Rajkumar sir, Associate Professor and HOD of Roga Nidana Department, Government of Puducherry, Mahi, and Dr. Ramya Krishnan ma'am, Associate Professor and HOD of Draveguna Department, Government of Puducherry, Mahi. We both welcome you as a guest speaker on episode 8, How to Learn to Understand Ayurveda, Stree and Prasuti exclusive. Before starting to today's episode, we would like to brief the previous episode of Agar Tantra. Uh, Previous episode was Agat Tantra, and regarding that, first question was what is the practical utility of all the poisonous things we study in Agat Tantra? For that, ma'am and sir explained we can't compare this Ayurvedic principle with antidote, anti-venom. Our science is based on Swabhava and certain principles we have to apply, neutralize it with natural antibody OJ, and this is natural method that we have to show practically with Shastra Artha knowledge. So Agat physicians should be thorough into their practical as well as theory aspect to teach the exact Shastra Arth of Agat Tantra. Also, second question was knowing and teaching only Nama Rupa Guna and not practical aspect is unnecessary. There should be clinical OPD to explore Agantu Vish, Nij Vish, Ojo Vyapat, etc. All this pathology have to be explained to the students as Agat is one of the Ashtanga. So we need to have Triskanda Jnana, Hetu Ling Aushad. We need to know Hetu, Nama Rupa Guna Tribhi, and Lakshana is more important clinically, clinical symptoms, and we have to identify wish and its stages to understand, expertise, and apply. On the significance of learning forensic science with Agat Tantra. Is it unnecessary to learn post-mortem because Ayurveda is science of life and learning should be focused on health, disease reversal. So instead of copying MBBS syllabus like Agat is equal to forensic science, we should start from Agat Tantra for clarity and objectivity of it. Incorporating postmortems and not legally allowing it to do only gives encouragement to quakery. So this is not an upgradation. We have to update scientifically application of that. We need to update scientific application. So only things legal aspects in short we need to learn, and further briefing will be done by Vidita.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Uh, Further, it was stated that about Agat's practical utility. It was explained by ma'am that to approve any Ayurvedic formulation, herbal or mineral, first and foremost thing to be done is to approve Ayurvedic science as it is. Guidelines and principles regarding administration of Ayurvedic formulation must be known, which are very well documented and explained in Ayurvedic science. Basic principles of rational medicine prescribing must be taught in BAMS curriculum throughout. Also, it was stated that Ashuddh karma, that is irrational prescribing, leads to undesirable effects. Students must be taught difference between terms like side effects, undesirable effects, and toxic effects. It was further stated that court practical visit, dairy visit, etc. is not necessary for students and they should know basic medical IPC and law. About need of Agat Tantra as subject, it was stated by Sir that it is a part of Ashtanga Ayurveda. So, physician must know Hetu, Ling and Aushad to treat emergency cases. Proper application of medicine according to Lakshan is most important. Clinical aspect of Agat Tantra must be highlighted by Agantuvish understanding and management. Clinical demonstration of management of Dushivish conditions such as bronchial asthma, allergic asthma, acute asthma should be presented in OPD to enhance confidence of students for Ayurveda.
So this was the short briefing of Agat Tantra. And before starting to today's session of Sri and Prasuti exclusive, I would like to ask one question, Vidita. जैसे कि आज का हमारा सेशन है एक्सक्लूसिव टू श्री एंड प्रसूति, बट what I see in theory aspects and when I see the practical aspects in OPDs, मुझे जमीन आसमान का अंतर देखने को मिलता है. On that, what is your view? And if there is so much differences, why we are meant to learn a theoretical subject in college?
ओके संगीता, आई अंडरस्टैंड, पर तुम एग्जाम्पल देके एक्सप्लेन करोगे क्या कहना चाहते हो?
Yeah. What I meant to say कि suppose for example a patient with white discharge or a severe fungal infection or bacterial infection, if a patient comes with this status, we will go for an integrated approach. हम साथ में एंटी फंगल एंटीबायोटिक्स along with our own medicine we will approach that case. We are not sure about our own principles, we are not sure about our own medicine, so we just do a mixopathy. And also like in during pregnancy also we used to see that we take supplements and along with our medicines, and after postpartum also we see that we rely much on modern medicines. So what is your view on such kind of integrated approach and mixopathy?
I think Sangeeta, if patient is benefited from the treatment, it is not wrong to do all those things. And integrated approach is updated version of today's era. So, and Ayurvedic is not a complete science. It is lost during decades, and its pure practice has been lost. So, I guess it is okay if patient is getting benefit from it.
Vidita, as you told that Ayurveda is not a complete science, I disagree that Ayurveda is a complete science. On that, Acharya Charak has told that yadi hasti yad anyatra yanena hasti na tat kvachita. Means whatever is mentioned in our science means like what is mentioned is in this is present everywhere, and if it is not mentioned here, it is not will be available anywhere else. Means अगर वो चीज आयुर्वेदा में नहीं है तो वो कहीं नहीं है. So it is indeed a complete science. Also you told that if we are getting benefited, so this is a kind of adjustment actually we are doing. हमारा साइंस हमें एडजस्टमेंट नहीं करना सिखाता है, क्योंकि फॉर दैट Acharya has told that Ashut Chikitsa has to be prohibited. And for that, even Acharyas have very harshly told that for such Vaidya should be called as Shadmachar, Taskar, and rope of Yamadeva. So, because like doing adjustment, प्रयोगः शमयेद व्याधिम एकम यो अन्येन उदीर्येत नाश विशुद्ध शुद्धस्तु शमयेद्यो न कोपयेत. मीन्स अगर एक व्याधि को शांत करके दूसरी व्याधि को उत्पन्न कर रहे हैं, सो इट इज नॉट अ वे ऑफ ट्रीटिंग. जैसे कि हमारे साइंस का मोटो है, पर्पस है कि स्वस्थ से स्वास्थ्य रक्षणम आतुर से विकार प्रश्नम च. सो विकार प्रश्नम जो है कि धातु साम्यता से आएगी, एंड merely adjusting things and giving benefit will not provide dhatu samyata. So and a medicine should be also like the medicine should provide arogya. Because why? Because तदेव युक्तम भेषजम यद आरोग्य कल्पते. So there is not a mention of any sorts of like you have to do only benefits. Providing आरोग्य is our purpose, and हमारा उद्देश्य भी वही होना चाहिए. So I don't think that it is a problem of Ayurveda. Maybe yeah, it is a problem of ourselves who are not capable enough to explore the science, and जो हम find out नहीं कर पा रहे हैं.
I agree with you, Sangeeta, with all these things that you said. But how can we learn Ayurveda as it is? It is our current syllabus. Our physicians and teachers, they don't know Ayurveda as it is. How should we learn then?
For that, I agree with you that yes, Ayurveda as it is not been taught in today's curriculum. Because why? Because we are like today's episode is Stree and Prasuti. and we are lacking the approach of like professional approach to a patient. We are lacking a systematic algorithms of every modern age disease patient. So why I am telling this? Because in third year, it was lockdown in my third year. So along with curriculum, I purchased ma'am's book, gynecology book, Device and Update. From there, I got to know that, okay, Ayurveda physiology, pathology has been explored in such a deep way that it is not a something myth or something like that. We can understand and we can explore the pathophysiology of modern age patient, and we can treat with Ayurveda as it is, with Ayurveda principle, with minimal medicine, and we can explore every diseases of today's modern age. So that's why, like, this is the reason of doing this episode, today's episode, so that we can find out the lacking of today's curriculum, and we can understand how we can understand that curriculum should be.
Indeed, Sangeeta, I was myself skeptical about these topics in my third year, and I am grateful for this session. So, thank you, sir and ma'am.
Yeah. So with this, we will like to start our today's episode, 3 and Prasuti exclusive. Um, so my first question is related to three row questions. Regimen of menstrual cycles are myths or superstitious? If not, what is the scientific reason behind that, and why it is taught like storytelling? Is it not necessary to understand menstrual cycle in Ayurvedic perspective to understand the cause, mechanism, and treatment of diseases like amenorrhea, menorrhagia, metrorrhagia, DUB, etc.?
Anyway, thank you for this session. Before starting the program, to both of you, thank you. The thing is that this is very crucial period to learn to differentiate science and superstition. So everything which is not science is a superstition. Everything which is not a superstition need not be a science unless the how and why questions are addressed. So the how and why part is lying in the basic principles of the science. No matter whether it be Prasudi Dandra or Shalya or Kaumarabhriti or Shalakya, whatever be the discipline, whatever be the anga, the how and why questions in Ayurveda is addressed solely in the basic principles, fundamental logics of Ayurveda, which are being explained very elaborated manner in Samhitas. So Samhitas will only make the application of each and every discipline scientific. So when you are coming to ask about the superstitions or science regarding menstrual regimen, the regimen during the menstrual cycle, that was your question. So everything what is explained can be rationalized based on the basic principles of Ayurvedic menstrual cycle, Ayurvedic physiology of menstrual cycle. So till now, in as far as my knowledge, there is no systematic exploration of menstrual cycle or ovarian cycle done in Ayurveda based on the logics in Samhitas. So this was a great major deficit I have experienced during my BAMS. During my BAMS, when I was learning everything in modern science, everything is explained so perfectly. HPO, hypothalamus, pituitary, ovarian cell axis, and everything is explained very systematically and precisely. But coming to Ayurvedic part, nothing is explained. Like it can be, even the hormones are not explained. What are these hormones? What are their roles? It is not correlation. It's not correlation. This hormone is meant to be like this. It is not like that. It is like how to understand hormonal function in Ayurveda. How to understand HPO axis in Ayurveda, the functioning of hypothalamus, pituitary, ovarian cell axis. So we know that all the sarvahi cheshta vadena. So vayu is the kriyanam anilomyam. All the physiological activities are controlled by panchavayus. So these panchavayus are not explained in Prasudi Tantra. Panchavayus are being learned from the first year itself in basic principles. So starting from Panchavayus, how each and every stage of menstruation, like we know ovulation, pre-ovulatory, what is happening. First of all, Prenana is happening, and Rajas is what is the difference between Rajo, Ubadadu, and Artava Rekta. These things say in what you call Asruddhara, dysfunctional uterine bleeding or excess uterine bleeding. You have learned a statement, you have learned a reference, Rekta Madaya Tadrajaha. So, what is the difference between Rajas is also Rekta? No. So, why Acharya says Rekta Madaya Tadrajaha? Rekta gets collected over Rajas, and also there are many things like good menstrual blood, healthy menstrual blood. Ishat Krishnam Vigandham Cha Yonirvaye Mukham Naye. So it is Ishat Krishna. Why it is Ishat Krishna? How it became Ishat Krishna? So all these aspects, what is happening from stage to stage. So HPO axis is what? Prana, Udana, Samana. So that perfect explanation of Ayurvedic physiology is mandatory to understand and explain the rationality of Charyas. We know that during menstrual period, what is happening? It is like Ishat Krishnam Vigandham Cha. Prithvi Guna is not there in the menstrual blood. Krishna and Vigandha. Gandhavadi is Prithvi. So there is no Prithvi or there is no stability to the menstrual blood. It is normally like that. If there is excess clots, then it will not be like easily flowing. It will be excess flow. It will be Pichila, Guru, Snigdha, etc. But here we understand that menstrual blood is Vishadam. So it is Ishat Krishnam Vigandham. So what is happening? So what blood Navarajas and Purana Rajas is explained. Navarajas, the blood which is getting accumulated in the early post-ovulatory phase or early secretory phase is Navarajas. But the blood which is shedding out is Purana Rajas. What is happening? How this Navarajas is getting transformed to Purana Rajas. So these things are very crucial to explain why these charyas are important. So Ruksha Bhojana is mentioned. Abhyanga is contraindicated. These are not superstitions. During menstrual period, why Ruksha Bhojana is mentioned? Because Ruksha itself will activate prana. Rauksha Vyayama Lankhane. Ruksha is that which activates prana. And prana is that which activates hypothalamus. So hypothalamus pituitary ovarian cell axis is ensuring every reproductive cycle. So for proper normal happening, normal course of this cycle, normal ovulation to happen, Snehana should begin with precessive Rukshana. Only if optimum Rukshana is there, prana gets activated and gets ready for Snehana in the next cycle. Adequate Snehana in the next cycle. So these things are explained in my book also. So it is because that is why Ruksha Bhojana and Laghu Ahara is mentioned during menstrual period, and also Abhyanga, Snehana. All these are not advisable. Why? Because it will again Pichila Guru, Snigdha gunas of Arthavarikta will be increased, and that will it will cause Sama Pitta in Rekta. Rekta becomes Sama. So there can be dysfunctional uterine bleeding, there can be impaired ovulation, there can be other problems in the next cycles, even in the present cycle. So everything has its own physiological explanation only if we know what is happening. Prana, Udana, Samana axis. This has to be taught. It is not HPO axis in Ayurveda. It is Prana, Udana, Samana axis. Prana, Udana, Samana in ovulation and Prana, Samana, Apana in menstruation. So this cycle has to be taught in BAMS. And what is happening? What is causing this Navarekta to Purana Rekta? There is some immune. So there should be systematic teaching of Ojo Vaha Srotas in Artha Vaha Srotas. Ojas in Artha Vaha Srotas. Prana Udana Samana function in Artha Vaha Srotas. Agnis, role of Agnis in Artha Vaha Srotas. There are different Agnis. The Agni which is capable for the formation of Rajas, it can be considered as Artha Agni. The Agni which is responsible for what you call formation of Ojas and sustenance of progeny if fertilization is happening. That is called Ojo Agni. So it is a component of Ojo Agni. Progesterone is a component of Ojo Agni. And estrogen can be considered as a component of Artavagni. And Rasa Agni is there. So all these are Rasa Agni, Ojo Agni functioning. What is happening stage by stage. And Ojo Visramsa, apoptosis of the endometrium. How endometrium is getting converted from Navarajas to Purana Rajas, getting ready to move out. So there is a function, there is a phenomenon called Ojo Visramsa. When pregnancy is not happening, the Ojo Agni is getting automatically declined, which is causing Ojo Visramsa. So Sudha has explained Abhigada, Chaya, Koba. This is not pathology, this is physiology. Ojo Samshi Grahana Nisradam. Tejas Amiridam Yasma Visramsedi. So after Ojas is lost from the dhadus, they become Vishada. They become Vishada. Rekta becomes Vishada. And Vishada Rekta is being expelled out. Again, that Ruksha Guna is activating Prana Udana Samana, responsible for normal ovulation and menstruation in the subsequent cycle. So, this is explained very elaborately in my book, but it took almost 6 to 5 years to understand the process. Still, there is a long way to go ahead. But this thing, unless it is explored, it is not possible to explain any of the regimen with regard to menstruation, ovulation. We can just correlate, but how? What is the use of correlation? How can we help a patient in Ayurvedic way if we simply correlate, blindly correlate, without understanding things? Understanding is more important. Functions we have to understand. We should be able to work inside the patient. Yeah. Your question was that only, right? Anything I missed?
Yes. No, ma'am.
Ma'am, my next question is based on what
Nivedita,
you said.
one
Sorry.
second. Sorry, would you like to
Okay.
add something?
The problem is what you mentioned before itself, that you are learning everything modern. So when you are listening to something which is not modern, which is not from Western science, you may think that it is superstitious, because Ayurveda explains each and every activity, every regimen, the most scientific way. Because in Western science, they don't have any relation between body and external environment. In Ayurvedic science, each and every food, every activity, including sleep, including combing your hair, including laughing, crying, each and everything is explained in such a detailed manner that whatever you do, whatever activity you do, whatever food you take, everything will be having an impact in your body. So when something like that is explained in our science, when you are learning Western science only, you will be thinking that this is superstition. So it's not superstition, it's pure science itself. Even Prabhava is most scientific. Pratyaksha Baladarshanat na Mimamsin Katanjana. So it will definitely produce. Ayurveda is deciphered by Pratyaksha and Anumana. So it started from experience. Experience, and they found out the logics behind that. So whatever is written in the science, you can also repeat, or you can also replicate the same effect, because it is produced in the same manner what is explained in the science. So superstition and science, it depends on how you learn Ayurvedic science. If you are learning Ayurvedic science properly, you will not feel it as superstition. Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption before, sir.
You know,
My next question is based on what ma'am said about Ojavaha Srotas and Artavaha Srotas to be learned first. Uh, Trirog should be learned before or after Kai Chikitsa and Shalya. All general diseases are having direct or indirect effects on Artava Srotas. So without understanding general treatment principles, when we learn Sri Rog alone, reductionist approach will develop, no? What are your views on this, ma'am and sir?
Actually, Stri Roga means Stri Roga, nobody can learn gynecological diseases first. Fundamental principles of Ayurvedic gynecology is to be taught first. That's what I told in the previous physiology, Ayurvedic physiology of ovulation, menstruation, menstrual hygiene, what all things are to be taken care of. All these are to be taught in the basic principles or Kriya Sharira. Ideally, Kriya Sharira, gynecology, Ayurvedic gynecology. Fundamental principles of Ayurvedic gynecology. What is ovulation? Ayurvedic ovulation, Ayurvedic concepts of menstruation, menstrual cycle. All these are to be taught in physiology mostly. So that students will get a basic idea regarding what it is. Till now, there is no clarity even, there is no concept or there is no understanding, comprehension which has emerged regarding all this. How to understand ovulation in Ayurveda, how to understand ovulation in Ayurveda, what is going wrong if a woman is having an ovulation. Simply giving Rajapravartani Vadi is not the solution, no. Why ovulation is not happening, what is fundamentally wrong, whether it is by Snehakshaya or Sneha Adivruddhi, or whether it is by some other pathology which is responsible. Every pathology, before learning pathology, as in Tortora, you might be seeing physiology and pathology, applied physiology, also explained in Tortora book, that modern physiology.
Yes,
In the
ma'am.
same way, Ayurvedic physiology of gynecology is to be taught, and applied physiology of Ayurvedic gynecology, that also is to be taught in Kriya Sharira. And after completing that, diagnostic principles and treatment principles in Dravya Guna, Roga Nidana, etc., such cases application are to be taught in Roga Nidana. Gynec cases also, how to explore based on pathophysiological principles of Ayurveda. It's not like modern medicine. One gynec case comes, it can be referred to gynecology department for, teaching purpose. For teaching purpose, it is fine. But after the student gets qualified by BAMS, it is important that he or she must be able to treat fundamentally a gynec case. That is very important. Primary healthcare is enabling our student to become good in primary healthcare is a crucial necessity. So for that, Roga Nidana department has to incorporate this pathophysiology of gynecological conditions also, and explain to the students particular cases. Those cases should reach all the departments, Roga Nidana department also, because they should, first of all, faculty should be equipped in the knowledge of this. Otherwise, there is no use of doing all this, because faculty should be given deep level orientation in SBBA, principles of science-based medicine of Ayurveda. Then only SBBA orientation program should be there for faculties of all disciplines, not only one discipline. So based on that, when students are getting an idea regarding how to understand a gynec case, then they can directly go to Prasudi, no problem. But Kaya Chikitsa, I don't think Kaya Chikitsa comes in the next year. I don't think there will be a problem, as long as students are getting equipped in adequate knowledge of basic principles of physiology and pathophysiology. Definitely in Prasudi Tantra, a specialist who is supposed to be a specialist means he or she should be able to integrate physiology, pathophysiology, pharmacology and treatment. That is called specialist. Any disease, any specialist in Ayurveda means he or she should be able to start from physiology, pathophysiology, pharmacology and what is being done, rationality. Then he becomes a real specialist. So as long as these steps are done, there is no problem in teaching Prasudi Tantra. There is no need to connect Prasudi Tantra and Kaya Chikitsa, because the prerequisites are already taught in first year and second year. So they can directly go for Prasudi Tantra. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
I would
Over
like
to you,
add
Sangeeta.
one more thing. I would like to
Yes,
add
sir.
one more thing. Patients will not be having one disease alone. They will be having some other dysfunction also, like liver dysfunction is there, or diabetic patient might be, or hypertensive patient might be, so or hypotensive patient might be. So by correlating all this, by integrating all this, so we need to know the basic principles with which how it could be integrated in that subject. So in my opinion, treatment, the basic principles should be taught first. So either it should be in Kaya Chikitsa or other than that, it should be taught first. and then only we can treat all the cases, because in Prasudi, it can be by Pitta Varda Apana also, Rajasascha Adivartana. So, increased menstruation can happen by Pitta affliction of Apana. So, Pitta Varda Apana can also cause increased menstruation. So, without knowing the basic thing, directly going for menorrhagia or metrorrhagia, you will not be able to identify. That's what Dr. Nirmaya told, that whatever is needed to be learned in physiology should be learned. Then pathophysiology should be learned. So Ayurveda explains all the pathophysiologies. Then only we will be able to integrate what is happening in diabetic patient, what is happening in hypertensive patient, what is happening in liver dysfunction. We can understand the basic pathophysiology and the connecting link between all these diseases. And then we should go for whatever the specific disease the patient is having. So always we are treating the nidana, hetu. So to identify the hetu, and afterwards, if hetu is removed and afterwards if the disease is persisting, you need to go for specific treatments which are mentioned in Stri Roga. So till then, you need to know the physiology, pathophysiology, or Hedu Linga Upashanti are to be learned in that systematic manner. Otherwise, you will definitely go wrong. Or the patients who are attended based on Stri Roga diagnostic principles alone will be going wrong. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, as you told that uh, multiple disease linked can be there. So regarding that only, one of the most common clinical condition PCOD is there. Is there any relation with Granthi which is being taught? Is there any need of Shodhan Karma in that? Why diseases like thyroid, diabetes are mostly associated with PCOS, and why we have not been taught to connect the link of the diseases?
So the thing is that when all the gynec diseases which are prevalent in the society today are happening either by immune mediated, or it can be metabolic, impaired metabolism, or it can be directly hormonal. So if it is, that's what I told. It can be Ojo Dushti, it can be Agni Dushti, it can be Rasa Dushti, or it can be any of these together also. Like two things together. One will lead to other one. Most of the cases, now coming to PCOS, it is purely hormonal dysfunction. So hormonal dysfunction, we have to understand in Ayurvedic terms what is happening in PCOS. That is explained. I'm not going to the technical aspects of PCOS, but in one word, I have defined PCOS. Shukra Shukrasya Sanjayam. Shukra Sanjaya in Shukra Dhadu. So how Shukra Dhadu, what is the role of Shukra Dhadu in Arthavaka Srotas? All these things are elaborated in my book, as you all know. So for the sake of readers, viewers only, I am telling this fact. PCOS, once a learner learns that it is Shukrasya Sanjayam, how Shukra Vardhi is happening in Shukra Dhadu. That should be learned in a step-by-step process. The Nidana can vary, but ultimately Samprapti is same. PCOS Samprapti is Kabha Vardhi in Shukra Dhadu. Shukra Shukrasya Sanjayam. Kabha Vardhi in all dhadus are explained in Ashtanga Sangraha. So if Kabha aggravates in Shukra, it will cause Sanjaya of Shukra. And that is what is responsible for PCOS. This is in one sentence. But when you explore the patient, we understand that basically it is a metabolic dysfunction. It is a Adisandarpana is the cause. The patient is having impaired metabolism. Maybe they will be having amenorrhea or sometimes menorrhagia. Mostly amenorrhea. So how to manage? First of all, we have to rectify the menstrual cycle. So to rectify the menstrual cycle, cause mechanisms are to be explored. So we will understand that the patient, sometimes patient might be fat or lean, but Agni metabolism will be not good. Rasa Dushti will be there. Rasa Dushti Lakshanas may be there. And sometimes hypothyroid may be associated. Hypothyroid might have been the first cause. She might be on thyroid supplements. and later PCOS developed. There are so many girls like that. Hypothyroid history proceeding, and definitely diet and regimen, how much exercise they are doing, all these things. It is a Shamana intended disease. It is a Shamana intended disease because ultimately Samana dysfunction is the cause. Samana dysfunction is the cause. So the treatment principle for Samana is Shamana. Samane Shamanam Deyam. So what are the treatment principles of coming under Shamana? Pajanam, Deepanam,
Nam.
Krit, Vyayam, Ayurveda, right? So that treatment principle, which is this, it's not necessary that everything should be done in one person, but what is to be specifically applied in that particular patient, that is to be explored. And PCOS is a mere hormonal dysfunction which can be rectified very easily. Very easily, we can do it without any karma procedure. But metabolic error, once we are treating for PCOS, we can see Kabhavriddhi in all Kabasthani Dhadus, not only in Shukra Dhadu. It can be in Rasa, Mamsa, Medas, Majja, all these Dhadus, Kabhavriddhi can happen. So the ultimate cause is Kabha, Agandu Kabha. So Kabha has to be reduced, right? And also Pajana is to be reduced. That depends on what stage the patient is coming to us. So there are definite algorithms which are required to be practiced by practitioners. They are to be, first of all, SBBA has developed definite algorithms to understand and apply in patients of PCOS. That is explained in my book also. So those algorithms are to be followed uniformly by all the physicians. How to understand, then only it becomes professional. So when we treat for PCOS, thyroid function improves naturally. We are stopping all the thyroid supplements. We are stopping. If the patient is prone to diabetic, the diabetic tendency is also coming down because kabat shaya in medo dhatu. So what is happening? Medo dushti also we are preventing. So like that, when we are treating for hetu, we are reversing multiple pathologies or multiple cause mechanisms leading to multiple pathologies. That is called functional medicine. So SBB is practicing functional medicine. We cannot do in such a way that PCOS, we are prescribing two medicines. Let her continue thyroid medications. Let her continue other things. No diet or nothing is required. Exercise not required. Like that, we cannot manage. When we are treating a patient, patient is the focus, not the PCOS, right? So this kind of approach is first developed in SBEBA. That is explained in the book.
The same thing, always a disease is to be identified with Nidana Panchaka. It's not by just seeing the effect, we can diagnose a case. Like what is happening the last stage. With that, if we diagnose a disease, it's not based on Ayurvedic scientific principles. Always we need to identify Rogam, Nidana, Pragrupa, Lakshana, Upashaya, and Samprapti, with which we have to identify disease. So there is Kledavruti, there is Kapavruti, it produces Chile, it delays everything. There is Neha Guna Vritti, Shita Guna Vritti. So identifying from Nidana, Samprapti, all the Pancha Sampraptis, then Purva Rupa, it's a syndrome. So just by giving a name Granthi or something like that, it will not have any scientific base. Like we are not identifying with the Nidana, cause, mechanism, and effect. So, like all other pathologies, PCOS also is to be identified with Nidana Panchaka. Without Nidana Panchaka, any diagnosis, whatever the disease you are diagnosing, without Nidana Panchaka, if you are diagnosing, it is wrong, as per Ayurvedic science.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, as you told that specific algorithm and has to be, it is mentioned in your book for PCOS and it is very easy to cure. I myself have experienced this that actually PCOS is so easy to cure and so much irrational things has been going in the name of PCOS in today's Ayurveda OPDs. Irrational Panchkarma procedure has been going on. As I have treated one PCOS case where patient has lost approx 20 kg and within 3 months, and she got relief from her PCODs every problem. So without any panchkarma involvement, just with single medicine and scientific diet and regimen, she was able to lose all the weight and problem and everything related to PCOS. And when I see the things going on in the name of PCOS treatment, the package treatment or anything, patients are literally suffering. I guess they are suffering more with treatments. They are going from here to there, and nowhere they are getting benefited. I feel petty and I feel sad at the same time, and because people will not believe that okay, with one medicine also, with scientific diet also, you are able, we can cure you. So yes, it's very much needed to be incorporate all the principles into curriculum so that systematically it get करिकुलम में जो है कि वो अच्छे से सारे लोगों तक पहुंच सके. That is why we meant to do this episode also, so that Ayush Ministry see this and upgrade the BMS curriculum.
Yeah, there is no standardized methodology to diagnose, like standard methodology to treat. So that's what SPB has done.
So it is very simple.
True,
Like
indeed.
if all the doctors know that why PCOS is not intended for Shodhana, if that logic is explained to all the doctors, if they are educated, if they are finding right in front of their eyes the results, what is happening without Vamana and other things, how they can achieve the desirable intended effects, not the benefits. It is easy for them. That is what science is. You have to teach the logic. Logic is to be applied in the patient. You have to observe the intended result. And it is to be repeated in other identical conditions. How to understand the patient, how to apply the logic. That is what scientific training means. That is lacking in today's education. Yeah.
True, ma'am. Yeah. Next question, Vidita.
So, ma'am, answer. My next question is uterine fibroid, fibroadenoma, etc. are hormone-mediated conditions. How to be taught and comprehend such conditions in Ayurveda? I guess you answered it with that question. I'll ask next.
Anything would you like to add, ma'am, in this?
Actually, uterine fibroids means it can also depend on the nature of the patient and his diseases. He or she might be having sometimes a long history of Rasadushti or Medodushti or Mamsadushti. Medodushti people, even slim people are getting, but Medodushti is there. It's not Medovruddhi, Medodushti is there. That's why they are getting fibroid.
Okay.
And also sedentary lifestyle and Rasadushti. Sometimes this hormonal, hormonal imbalances can also cause fibroid in long run. So when we are recently, just now I am treating a case of infertility, and she had two IVF failure she had, and she has multiple fibroids. So implantation was being impaired by these fibroids intending into the endometrium. Many fibroids are there. So what I did is just Rasadushti. She was having a very strong history and Nidana of Rasadushti. So I did only Langhana and Deepana. Langhana and Deepana was only done. And now when multiple fibroids, so many fibroids, in the recent scan, one fibroid is only left after 2 months. A single fibroid is noticed. So I was checking for other fibroid sizes. It was not there. So, but I cannot say that Langhana and Deepana is the treatment principle of fibroid in all the cases. It can vary. Sometimes fibroids are difficult to treat also. Sometimes they will show slow regression. So it is important that's what I tell. How to explore the case is most important. How you are understanding the patient. What is that which is leading to this pathology? That is more important. And in fibroadenoma also, it is a It can be considered as a grandhi in the breast, but hormonal involvement is there, rasadushti is there, because stania is an upadhatu of rasadhatu. Sometimes there can be other causes also. Agni dushti might be there. So you have to explore the cause. It is not like always grandhi chikitsa is to be applied in fibroadenoma. Sometimes we have to apply Ojo Vaha Srotas treatment principle. Sometimes we have to treat by Rasadushti treatment principle. Sometimes Langhana and Leghana is intended. So it is not like we cannot generalize this is the fibroadenoma, this has to be the treatment. Patient exploration is to be standardized. How to explore a patient with fibroadenoma, how to explore a patient with what you call fibroids. Plan A, plan B, first of all, step by step. First, rule out this, apply this principle, understand this, rule out this, apply this principle, understand this, and evaluate the patient. Upashaya and Anubashaya are to be evaluated. Just like modern medicine, they are following step by step protocol. They are not deviating, even though their protocols are very much reductionist. We can imagine that compared to our science, they don't need to explore the patient, they don't need to do anything. They just first this, if not working, suppress menstruation by danazole, like in endometriosis, what is happening? First, control by hormonal drugs. Second step is therapeutic menopause. Third step is hysterectomy if the patient doesn't need to be fertile. So that is how they are following. They don't make any change. But in Ayurveda, trial and error is running. We have to have standardized algorithms to explore the patient. That is to be published, that is to be educated. That is to be learned in curriculum also. Books.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Though fibroids are Mamsavaha Srotodushti or leiomyoma or fibroadenoma, that's also. But in a SOPA, wherever it's developing, it is Mamsavaha Srotodushti. It's not, it's adenoma like. So it can be considered as Mamsavaha Srotodushti and initiated by hormones. So, but these two alone are not enough. We need to find out what mechanism has caused this hormonal dysfunction as well as development of Mamsavaha Srotodushti. So, when we are not doing any research on the disease, Mamsavaha Srotodushti Nidana, so the treatment principle of Shastra Kshara, Agni Karma, so all this will be done without knowing anything about the disease or the patient. We are not studying the patient also. So that is what is happening because we just correlate with the symptom. Symptom is, or the disease itself is Mamsavaha Srotodushti. So do everything, whatever is needed for Mamsavaha Srotodushti. But behind that, what she mentioned just now, it can be by Rasavaha Srotodushti, it can be by Sukravaha Srotodushti, it can be by any other Srotodushti that this has developed by Srotodushti Nidanas. So a patient having many other diseases in her body can develop this also along with that. So there will be a connecting or initiating cause with which that hormone dysfunction also has developed. So like all other diseases, it has to be understood with Nidana Panjaga itself. Just for correlation sake, you can correlate it with Granthi or that's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. My next question is it a correct approach to do Rakta Stambhan in condition like menorrhagia, which is currently very prevailing that everywhere we do that, people are, physicians are doing Stambhana to stop everything.
So, being an SBBA practitioner, you know how to manage an Aswagdara case, whether Stambhana is intended in all cases of menorrhagia, what all things you should be exploring in a patient with DUB. Everything systematically you are knowing. So, like that, if such a precise knowledge is given to the patient, Ashuddha Rektam Stambhidam to Tadhi Rogatrit, when you are trying to arrest Ashuddha Rekta, that itself will worsen the status. Maybe it will stop for the time, but later on it will become increased because it can further worsen Agni Dushti. It can increase Samatva of the Rakta, and further it will cause more and more accumulation of Ashuddha Rakta in the Rajas, causing more severe form of bleeding. So the thing is that what is, even if it is for continuous bleeding, sometimes women will be having low bleeding, very small, like spotting or very low bleeding for continuously for long period. In such cases also, we have to understand why it is, what is the nature of her endometrium, right? We must understand when we are doing, whether we have to do sangrahana or whether we have to do stambhana. This is very important. Sangrahana differs from stambhana. Sometimes we will need to give kadu dravyas if there is shonida sankhada, so much shonida sankhada. We have to give kadu dravyas for shonida sankhada vedana. Why it is happening? What is the nature of endometrium? Endometrial hyperplasia, thickness is abnormal. If it is abnormal, we have to do pajana, right? When we do pajana anulomana only, that rakta will get transformed. That nava pichila guru snigdha rakta will get transformed to vishada laghu rakta, which will be expelled and bleeding. It will not be excess. Why? Because we are transforming by appropriate therapeutic medicine, therapeutic step. We are doing transformation of Sama Rekta to Nirama Rekta. So the Rekta which will be flowing will not be excess, even when we do Pajana Anulomana. So when to do Pajana Anulomana, when to do Stambhana, when to do Deepana by medicated ghee. Sometimes we need to give medicated Sneha in Asruddhara, when to give that. We know that when adequate Sneha is not there, then also the same thing can happen. Excess Raukshya in endometrium can make endometrium without progesterone support. Ojo Agni support is not there. An ovulatory cycle. Continuous bleeding can happen. Spotting in the spotting manner. There when we choose, when we do the correct prerequisite step, like patient has to be optimized in their metabolic status. They may not be on Pathya. So 2-3 days we have to prepare the patient for Snehana. And then when we are giving small dose Sneha itself, with one dose itself bleeding will stop. Then we must know what to do further. So the thing is that it is like mathematics. DUB handling all the cases are like mathematics. Once we know what is happening inside, when we are taking a scan, what is the purpose of scan in Ayurveda? I mean, with regard to gynecology, to understand the thickness of endometrium, to understand whether any other pathologies are like polyp or any other structural pathologies are there, endometriosis is there. Again, if endometriosis is there, we have to apply Ayurvedic algorithms, SBB algorithms to understand endometriosis. So everything is to be done based on the pathology. What pathology is responsible for DUB? So Stambhana as such is not a desirable protocol in Ashuddha Rakta pathologies.
The
Yes,
same
sir.
manner, yeah, the same manner as Roga is to be estimated, Rogi is to be estimated, then treatment principle is to be decided. So if it is a Ama condition, Pajana is to be done. Or if it is Tikshna Guna, Stambhana should be done. Or Deepana should be done if it is due to Agni Mandya. So Adi Pravartamanam Pajanena Sangraham Nayat. So whether it is Sangrahana to be given, so by Pachana itself Sangrahana happens, it is not Stambhana. So where Stambhana to be done and Upaya is to be determined in the patient. So once we decide the treatment principle, with which Upaya, Yatha Kurvandi, how to do this in the patient is to be determined. So with that, we can exactly manage the condition in that specific individual. So otherwise, you will be blindly giving one Stambhana Aushadha, so patient status worsens, then you will be giving some other treatment, then you will be saying that this needs Panchakarma treatment, then you will be going for Panchakarma. So patient will be in the worst condition. This is blind adoption or blind administration of treatment and medicines. So Ayurveda advocates the scientific mode. So first, Roga Rogi status is to be identified, then treatment principle is to be identified, then with which upaya it has to be managed, and finally decide the medicine. It is not like Stambhana medicine is to be given first. Okay.
So
Thank
Shonida
you,
Asta,
sir.
the treatment principle. रक्तस्य दुष्टिम् अपहृत्य प्रकृतौ स्थापयति इति शोणिदास्तावनं शोणिदस्य दुष्टस्य दुष्टिम् अपहृत्य प्रकृतौ स्थापयति इति शोणिदास्तावनम् actually asruddhara is a rakta dushtija roga. It is a rakta dushtija roga. Even though the rakta dushti may be initiated by agni dushti or rasa dushti or medo dushti, whatever it be, it is a rakta dushtija roga. So the treatment principle is dushtim abhagritya prakrito sthapeti. So how can we alleviate Shonida Dushti? It's not by giving Manjishtadi Kashaya. We must understand how Shonida Dushti has happened in that word. Sometimes it could be by Adhisneha, sometimes it could be by Adivishada, sometimes it could be by Tikshna Guna. So logic, sometimes Rasa Dushti. So it has to be applied and Shonida Dushti is to be reversed. That is what is reversal is required.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is based on what you said earlier, sir and ma'am. We have not been taught systemic Ayurvedic physiology and pathophysiology of disease. So uh, there's this example. Artha Utpatti theory part is being taught separately, and menstrual cycle physiology has been taught separately, and we are unable to correlate because of that. And doctors are prescribing drugs with modern drugs and doing mixopathy. So, how can we approach patient then?
Yeah. So the basic principles of Artava Ulpati, how this Navarajas is formed in according to Ayurveda, how you can explain the formation of blood in secretory endometrium after ovulation, how blood is being Navarekta, it is explained by Acharya, no, Purana Rekta and Navarekta. So how you can explain the formation of Navarekta in every menstrual cycle, how it is being formed, and what is why Acharya told Purana Rajas and Navarajas. So there is a demarcation between them. What is happening in Navarajas and Purana Rajas? And again, ovulation. Which are the vayus involved in ovulation, and how it is happening? Rasatstanyam tado rectum. So Ubadadu Rajas is there, Artava Rekta is there. How they can be differentiated, whether Ubadadu itself is getting eliminated through vagina. Is it Ubadadu Rajas which is itself getting eliminated in menstruation? If it is not so, then what is getting expelled? What is happening to this Ubadadu Rajas every time? All these aspects we are learning Ayurvedic shlokas like menstruation, you are learning Shuddha Artava Lakshana, you are learning Rutumadi Lakshana, you are learning Shama Prasanna Vadana, Spirit Shroni Payodhara, Srastakshi Kukshim Pums Kamam Vidyat Rutumadim Striya. Modern doctors may take it as a point to ridicule Ayurveda. Shama Prasanna Vadana, Spirit Shroni Srastakshi Kukshim Pums Kama Vidyat Rutumadim Striya. They are also having all this sexual medicine. Everything they are also learning in their scientific way, but when they see this shloka, they will misinterpret it in their own manner and ridicule. I don't mean all the doctors, but there are doctors who are doing it. So at a certain point of reproductive cycle, sexual desire is increasing. That's what it means. No, Ritumadi. Spurachroni Payodhara. Spurachroni Payodhara. Payodhara is breast. So in breast, which Srotas Mula Sthana is Payodhara. It is Shukravaha Srotas. Right? Shukravaha Mula Sthana is Prishno Moolam Sthanasya. Sthana is also Mula Sthana of Shukravaha Srotas. So there is something which is role of Shukra Dhadu is there in ovulation. What is the role of Shukra Dhadu? Ojas. Ojas is the Upadhadu of Shukra. So how Artava, Shukra, Ojas, everything is connected, and how the Vayus are controlling all these things. systematically explained. So Ritumati means ovulation period. It is not menstruation period. It is ovulation period. Ovulation period, fertility will be high because Shukra Dhatu will be maximum, optimal functioning of Shukra Dhatu responsible for ovulation. Tasam abhibalam varnam shukram pushtim karodi. The adequate shukra pushti and all these are done by Artavagni. It is mentioned in Bhav Pragasha. So the Artavagni is maintaining shukra functioning in the woman, in women, and also Ojo functioning in women. So how these are connected? Maybe for new viewers who are fresh to this, they will be wondering what this is being told. Ojas is being told, Shukra is told, all these things are told. They will not get any connecting link when I say like this. But the thing is that once they are learning this, they are reading this book and they start to apply this properly, I'm sure they will be able to start understanding things. Because these things are never taught in Ayurveda. Even Prasuti, Tantra also, there is no book which explains all this. So what I mean to say is that it is very simple. Ayurvedic physiology is very, very, very crucial. Okay, neuroendocrinology. Neuroendocrinology in Ayurveda, how to explore neuroendocrinology and how to understand each and every stage of ovulation and menstruation. Premenstrual, menstrual, post-menstrual. What is happening just before menstruation in ovulatory part? What is happening? Premenstrual phase. What is happening in follicle? Prenana is to initiate for the next cycle. How Prenana gets initiated? When Artavarakta gets evacuated, Ruksha Guna develops and Ruksha Guna is activating Prana Udana Samana axis for Snehana in the next cycle. So like that, everything stage by stage is to be taught. It is to be explained in the patient. Very important. Then only these things will get clarified in theory as well as application. The job should begin in physiology and continued in Roganidana and again continued with more vigor in Prasuti Tantra.
Your question was how to learn to understand. No? That book, it is beautifully explained, explored, and it's completely deciphered in her book. So make that in the syllabus, you will be easily learning all these things. That is the easiest way.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say the same that as ma'am has told. After reading ma'am's book in third year, I was so excited to read that I finished that book in 2 days. And after that, obviously it was like पूरा समझ में तो नहीं आया एक बार में पढ़ के. Again and again when I read, and I understood that how deeply and finally it has explained the physiology of Ayurveda physiology of gynecology and pathophysiology. The terms which was very new to me. I have never heard that terms also. Through that, the correlation has been done. So it was from my side also. I would like to suggest everybody to study that book, and I request Ayush Ministry to incorporate a gynecology device and update book into BMS curriculum.
So that is the difference between Shastra and Shastrartha. Shastra is what we are learning
Yes.
from Samhitas. Shastrartha is practical knowledge. What to know. So what to know and how to implement. It's explained, beautifully explained. He has properly explored and explained in a beautiful way in her book. So that is the best option. Other than that, I don't find any other solution for that.
Yes, sir. And my next question was also about that only, that our curriculum is gravely missing the Ayurveda gynecology pathogenesis deciphered in modern disease, and how treatment chosen in this pathogenesis is gravely missing. So I guess it has been covered, or anything would you like to add
Yeah.
into this?
Only Shastra is explained in all the books. Shastrartha is not explained. That is the main lacking thing, or
Yeah,
that link is missing.
right.
What a physician needs to know is Shastrartha Jnana, Shastrartha Vijnana. special knowledge. They should be specialized in Shastrartha. Dakshas
Hmm.
Tirthartha Shastrartha. That Shastrartha knowledge is missing. That should be implemented in curriculum.
That is what is called updation. Updation means what? We have to update according to the conventional era. Conventional era, nowadays what is believed is that technology will update. Definitely technology will update the certain things like diagnostic aids, coming to emergency medicines, whatever technology is doing is a great thing. But understanding a patient and reversing a disease cannot be updated by technology. It can be updated only by a solid science, because man is not a machine. Man can be understood no matter how much fine microscope is used also. Man is a very innately complex thing. It is not like a machine. It is primarily it looks like a machine, but we know that it is a highly complicated and dynamic structure in the universe. So we can understand the human being only by science. So science can be updated only by intelligence. Intelligence has to be updated for updating the application of the science. As far as Ayurveda is concerned, Ayurveda is a deterministic science. So what is the peculiarity of deterministic science? We are following deductive reasoning, just like mathematics. We are having logics inside the science, theorems, principles. It doesn't begin with an unknown compound or an unknown intervention. We are having theorems, logics, how, what, when, where, why. It's not Shasya and in a mere instruction. It's not like mere instruction. Everything is logically background. Whatever is mentioned is logically substantiated by how and when. So such a kind of deterministic science can be updated only by updating the intelligence of the physician or the learner. So that can be done only from this basic principles. That's what I told in the beginning. Every specialty can be updated only with basic principles. From basic principles, in basic principles, of basic principles. Any condition can be understood only with samhidas. But samhida learning is not enough. We must be able to, that is what is called translational medicine. We should be able to translate the concepts into the current situations, understand. That is also research. We have to study the subject, what is happening. Research is not merely administering unknown compound in blind population. That is for inductive reasoning oriented sciences. Different sciences, not deterministic sciences, probabilistic. Deterministic opposite is probabilistic. For probabilistic sciences, uncertainty-led sciences, such things are fine. But our science already we are having base. We have to understand, apply, study, again revise, understand, apply, study, revise. Like that it should go on. Culturing of intelligence is most important. Not inventing new medicines or technology incorporation. That is secondary only. Not needed at all, actually. We don't need new medicines. We need new intelligence.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am and sir. My next question is like direct correlation of Sri Rog to modern diseases, for example, Univyapat to DUB, etc. Is this correct approach?
No, it's not correct approach. It's merely,
Already answered now.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
Always
already
diseases have
answered.
to be identified with Nidana Panchaka. Nidana
Right.
Pragrupa Lakshana Upasya Samprapti. So we need to assess the patient with all his diseases. We are not treating lab investigation reports or USG reports, or we are not treating any report. We are treating the patient. So we have to assess the patient first, then find out the state and stage of whatever be the disease, then decide the treatment principle and do accordingly. It's very much wrong what is happening today, that with some symptoms they will be correlating with some other disease and they just start the treatment, or they will be blindly giving certain karmas or blindly administering certain panchakarmas or certain medicines. So it is based on medicines and karmas. They are deciding the patient. It is not the patient who is deciding the karma or treatment which she or he needs.
even in this case of Yoni Vyabhats also, it has to be taught like Yoni Vyabhat is just to understand the dosha involvement. In this Yoni Vyabhat, Raukshiyad Vayu Yada Garbham Jadam Jadam Vinashe Dushta Shonidajam Nairya Putragdi Nama Sasmrda. So it is only to understand Upapluda, Kabhavadaja. We can understand when we are learning science. But it doesn't mean that one disease is to be correlated, because in Yoni Vyabhats, we have to treat which we have to teach which dhatu involvement has happened there. Whether it is Rasa Dushtija, Yoni Vyabhat, Rakta Dushtija, Mamsa Dushtija, Shukra, Artava, whether it is Bija Dushtija, some are Bija Dushtija also. So like that classification is required. Fundamentally, what is vitiated in each Yoni Vyabhat, and understanding dosha involvement, Nidana Panchaga of the patient, exploring Nidana Panchaga. So sometimes it can be by different dhatu dushtis. We can classify all the Yoni Vyabhats under specific dhatu dushtis. So that should be the aim. Like, it is not like compare. It is very foolish. To be frank, it is very foolish to correlate this Yoni Vyabhat as this one. Because Yoni Vyabhat is just to understand a condition, to understand the dosha involvement. Which dosha? If what you call that Kandu, Yoni Bhavana, Kandu Jayande Kurvandi Jandavaha. When you find pruritus as symptom, generally it is by krimi or kabha. Sometimes it can be by resakshaya also. Snehakshaya can also cause. So we cannot generalize something as something. It is very important that Yoni Vyabhat, if it is educated, it should be educated in a complete way of things, not blind correlation or translation. Should not be done.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Vidita.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. My next question is it's already answered. Ma'am said there is separate there are separate drugs mentioned in our syllabus. But is there any other drugs acharyas have mentioned in Samhita for Sri Rog specifically?
Actually, mentioning Samhidas, there are so many medications mentioned in different aspects of Stri Roga. But as we understand, no, Ayurveda is to be practiced not as medicine-based science. It is to be practiced as science-based medicine. Shastra Artha Karmanushīlanena Samskurveda Prajñam. It should be practiced by Shastra Arthas. Shastra Arthas are our golden standards. Tattvas, diagnostic and treatment principles. So there are many medicines. Saubhagya Shundi Munaga is there. Bala Kshirabhaga is there. Shadavari Gruda is there. Ashoka Rishka is there. Pushyanuga Churna is there. What use? When we know all these medicines also, for theory exam we may get good marks. But coming to application, what is most important, as Acharya Charaga told, Sutrasthana, first chapter itself. नामज्ञान मात्रेण रूपमात्रेण वा पुनः औषधीनां परं प्राप्ति कश्चित् वेदितुम् अर्हति. औषधं हि अनभिज्ञातं नाम रूप गुणैस्त्रिभिर्विज्ञातं चापि दुर्युक्तं तीक्ष्णं सम्पद्यते विषम्. So it is most important is yukti jnana. Yukti jnana is decided by what? The pharmacokinetic components of decision making. What are the pharmacokinetic components? Yat kurvanti tat karmam, yena kurvanti tat viryam, yatra kurvanti tad adhikaranam. Where is the adhikarana? Yada kurvanti sa kala, yadha kurvanti sa upaya. All these are very important. Also, when we are choosing a yoga, Bheshaja karma, Doshatna karma, and Rogatna karma of that yoga. Ashoka Rishta, when you are choosing for Asragdara, you must be knowing what the Bheshaja karma is. Deepana, Pajana, Anulomana, Stambhana, Sangrahana. What you want to do in the patient is to be decided first. Why you are choosing this principle is to be decided first. You should be arriving at a conclusion based on a diagnostic principle. Your diagnosis should be scientific. It is not like Upapluda or Asragdara. Asragdara is not the diagnosis. You should be understanding cause mechanisms, and include that in the diagnosis, how that asagara is developed. And based on that, you have to choose the tattva, treatment principle. And again, you have to examine the medicine, yoga, by Bheshaja Karma, whether you want to do Anulomana. If you are choosing Vedana, then it is not Anulomana, right? So you have to decide whether it is Anulomana itself. And then dosha guna karma, whether which dosha is involved in the samprapti of that, whether it is dosha viparita, which guna of that dosha. Treatment principle is against that guna itself, right? And rogagna karma also. So that is what is taught in evidence triad approach of SBAB, how to systematically arrive a conclusion regarding choosing treatment. Arriving at that is what is taught in evidence triad approach of SBAB. So this is very important. Blindly learning yogas, for theory part it is good. If you are able to learn many yogas, it is well and good. But clinical part means you have to start from the science and Shastra.
Charaka already told directly, na yogereva kevala. You need not read those period also, such practices were there. So Charaka specifically mentioned, na yogereva kevala. Tasmat dosha aushadhani, pariksha desa tattvadaha. So you have to examine everything. Then Kurya Chigilsidam Pratnu. You have to go for deciding the treatment principle and na yogereva kevalam. You have to examine the medicine also. And what dose, in which form, and how many times. Everything is to be decided in the patient, not by deciding the medicine first and then seeing the patient. That is very much wrong. Acharya very clearly said, so whoever practices, whoever has more experience or whatever it is wrong. Kurya Chigilsidam Pratnu na yogereva kevalam. It is very clearly mentioned. So no need of confusion in that.
So in
Thank you, sir.
when a patient gets admitted, initially fixing a package is done in Ayurveda colleges. PCO is patient 21 days, everything will be written and it will be followed blindly. It's like blinders in front of horse face. They cannot move side, they cannot look sideways. They will be seeing only that particular straight only. They cannot look at anything else. Only protocol is considered, not the patient, her Dashavita Pariksha or medicine treatment principle. Nothing is done. If the patient is worsening, again some other procedure will be done blindly. So grip of the patient, we are actually below average. We are staying now our present condition in Ayurveda education. I am really sorry to say we are below average. We are below average, far below average. Many times we feel very sad. At least we should have minimum professionalism in understanding patients. Otherwise, what makes the difference between ourselves and a tribal practitioner or a traditional herbal healer? We are fighting for our rights. We are professionals. Tribals are different people. In Kerala, fights are going on with traditional Ayurveda practitioners. They are also provided B-class registration. They are practicing with Ayurvedic medicines, but we are more qualified. And what is the difference between a quack and a professional Ayurveda physician? Let us leave B-class people. Even we are no lesser than quacks. We are no greater than quacks. We are far lesser than quacks because we don't have any logics in application. We don't have logics in diagnosis. Suppose one teacher will tell that this is that, other teacher will tell this is no, this can be other one. Anything is the beauty of Ayurveda. We are just stealing the intelligence of students and budding practitioners because we are not ready to change. It's very pathetic. It's very worrisome.
That's so true, ma'am. And I hope कि इस बातों से like आयुष मिनिस्ट्री तक तो बात पहुंचे ही और बाकी स्टूडेंट्स तक भी ये बात पहुंचे. And as we have very long list of questions and today we have only covered 3 Roga questions. And in next episode we will cover Prasuti Tantra questions. My last question is, different types of program mentioned in Sri Rog syllabus. What is the utility of that?
Regarding that, I think I have made a point there. Regarding women welfare program, health care programs, you mean, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
What kind of programs?
ma'am.
Give me some examples of those programs.
Mother care program or RMNC plus programs like that.
National
Um,
programs. National
national
programs.
national programs. Yeah.
So that policy making Ayurveda included only when Ayurvedic principles are established. See, how can Ministry of Health or whatever central government cannot accept Ayurveda in the policies because we don't have established principles of maternity care. We don't have established principles of postpartum care. That should be emerging first. And why to learn and copy the principles of modern medicine in our curriculum? It is not needed. We should have our own independent policy making potential. We should have power to make frame policies, to implement policies. Definitely government will accept once we become professional. Problem is that we are not professional. We have to emerge policies of uh, postpartum care, maternity care, menstrual care. Everything there should be policy making is possible only when we have established principles. So what should happen first? Principles are to emerge first. Principles can emerge only by science-based medicine, not by medicine-based science. In anemia, every woman can take one medicine in anemia. That is stupid, no. Anemia control program. In modern medicine, it is fine. For them, iron is same everywhere, iron only. But in Ayurveda, there can be very, what you call logical, highly brilliant principles which we can emerge. We can classify women under different categories of anemia, under different, based on cause mechanisms. We can classify women mostly under 3 or 5 categories. All the women will come, and we can apply the treatment principle, what is to be done in such case. Algorithms are to be there, which are to be educated to Ayurveda doctors. So all the Ayurveda doctors will start treating scientifically anemia. That itself is a turning point. More patients will come for Ayurveda when their HB is not getting increased by other means. Even by modern medicine, so many pregnant women are not getting improved in their hemoglobin. So they will come to us. We can do justice to them. Then it becomes national policy. Once government see that, see this is working so much, so many women are getting benefited, we can make data just as what we do in Hastalamba. Large data can be made regarding the results, intended results, not benefit results. We can prove before this status, after this status. Like that, all the gynecological policies, whatever is existing now, family planning, of course, natural family planning methods only are can be educated by Ayurveda. We cannot educate any artificial methods. But apart from that, all other policies, we have such a large measure to, I mean, which are such a large contribution we can give to government if we are seriously considering. There is no use, no need to learn all these national policies and plans. It is just for general knowledge, it can be kept for reading purpose, but it is not that important.
Actually,
Ayurveda,
this is the basic problem. Actually, syllabus is made with Western science syllabus or
Yeah.
MBBS syllabus. They have kept it as a standard and made BMO syllabus.
correct.
So, as we don't have any programs like this, as we haven't deciphered any program like this,
That's what.
once you can do, only we can adopt to public. We can advise the public. So, such things are not deciphered in Ayurveda. So, we have blindly accepted whatever allopathics are doing. So that's what's happening in the syllabus. So once in syllabus it comes, students will naturally think that there is no solution in Ayurvedic science. Whatever they are doing, that is the ultimate science. And we are not updated and we are not doing practicing any sort of science. That is what the students will be ultimately having in their minds when they pass out. So
That's what.
basically, it's from the teaching side. It has to change.
Yeah.
Then only
Teaching
we will be professionals.
change also policies are to emerge means we have to make principles. SPEBA is to be taken up. In SPEBA, we already made fundamental principles for updation of Ayurveda. That has to be taken up for discussion in a symposium. We can propose the policies, what all policies are required for women and children. We can make so many proposals for policy making. We can be involved in a policy making process. Ayurveda policies should be separate from modern medicine policies. And population who are interested in Ayurveda policies should be adopting that. It is not like we are in a democratic country. Nobody can force us during pregnancy. This is to be taken. This is to be taken. We are not in a we are in a completely democratic country of the people, for the people and by the people. People have the will. People have rights to choose their own system of medicine. So it is not because Ayurveda doctors are not getting developed, our system is in a pathetic scenario. We have to develop. We are underdeveloped. We are to point fingers at ourselves. Then only system will change.
Yes, ma'am.
Indeed, ma'am. Um, Thank you, ma'am and sir. To all the audience, we have only covered these three Roga questions. Prasuti Tantra questions are yet to be asked. So this episode is going to be in two sessions. So episode 9 will be Prasuti Tantra questions specifically to that only. And so for today's, I would really like to thank ma'am and sir for their immense wisdom and knowledge imparting and giving to our audience and to ourselves also.
Thank you, ma'am and
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Sangeeta,
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajita.
we all are learning together. Actually, each and every program, we are learning. We are students of Ayurveda. We both. Don't call us scholars or anything. We are learning together. Every program like this is a learning opportunity. We are able to think more about what all problems are existing. We are able to do research. We are able to emerge. So if everyone is doing this, there will be a big change in the current pathetic scenario. So taking that responsibility, I know you are conducting this program. Really appreciate you for this, both of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, ma'am. And
Thank you.
anyone having any questions, they can send us, they can send me personally or anywhere in the comment section. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Signing off.
Namaste.